Dennis. Yeah, so today I wanted to explore self-empathy, what it means to me. I think there's a lot of different definitions or ideas of what that might mean to different people, or maybe that you've never heard that term before, and how I believe that it's the key to connection, both with ourselves as the first step, and then how it opens up the space of connection with other people. So empathy, self-empathy to me means an awareness, acceptance, and prioritization of myself, my needs, and my feelings. So there's a lot of different parts to that I want to just quickly go through first before I get into anything else. So by myself, I mean who and what I am, which I believe are different things. So who I am can be things like kind, creative, ambitious. What I am might be a daughter, a friend, a doctor, your profession, and those kind of labels. By my needs, there are lots of different needs. So I mean the basic needs like shelter, food, water, safety. And then on top of that, there's so many other needs that often get forgotten about, I think, especially people living busy lives with lots of responsibilities. Some needs might get forgotten in that. So things like a need to express your creativity, a need for intimacy and closeness with other people, a need for like play, fun, relaxation, all those different needs are really important. And then thinking about my feelings, so that can be, again, a really wide mix of things. So it can be things like feeling happy, feeling sad, the more basic ones, but it also can be like feeling a need for belonging or feeling a loneliness that you might not be able to identify just so obviously as if you were feeling sad, for example. And the way I see self-empathy is that it comes in kind of 3 steps. So the awareness step, an acceptance step, and a prioritization step. So people might be at different places already within that kind of step-by-step process. So some people here or listening or watching might have a really good awareness already of things like their bodily sensations, their feelings. They might already be noticing some patterns in things like this. People might already have some level of acceptance and people might already have some level of prioritization. But for some people, actually this awareness stage might not be fully developed or fully there. So I wanted to talk a bit more about that. So thinking about awareness, I feel like it's really important that this is done in kind of each present moment. So thinking about your bodily sensations and whether you can link that to a certain feeling or emotion. So if I say that you might be feeling racing heart, you might have an idea of what feeling that indicates to you, and it is different for different people. So a racing heart to you might signal that you're anxious, it might signal that you're excited, it might signal something else to you. And similarly, like red cheeks or like feeling flushed, that might signal something really clearly to you, or you might not necessarily know what that is signaling to you. So it might be that, yeah, you're feeling embarrassed, it might mean that you're feeling nervous, and things like feeling restless, like if your body feels like it has a lot of energy inside, that again can mean different things to different people. So over time, you can get kind of clearer on the patterns, maybe from some other clues that you're experiencing or from situational clues. You might get a really much clearer idea than when you first start paying attention to stuff like your bodily sensations. In the awareness stage, I also count distinguishing your own thoughts, beliefs, and feelings from those of the people around you. So whether that's your family, your friends, societal ideas, in this awareness stage, you can kind of question the thoughts, beliefs, feelings that you're having and whether it feels like they're truly coming from within you or whether it feels like it's coming from outside of you. Yeah. So the next stage, I think, is acceptance or possibly releasing. So I kind of practice a curiosity over judgment mindset when I'm thinking about accepting who I am, my needs, my feelings. So it kind of ties in again to distinguishing if thoughts, feelings, and things like that are coming from within or outside. This idea of being curious about your own thoughts, about your own feelings. And then we kind of have a choice to decide if we accept it. And for some things, yeah, we accept it. For some other things, we might actually release it and say, actually, this isn't my belief. This isn't my story. Or it might be that it is something that's true for you, a past story that you've been telling yourself, a label that you have for yourself that you might have created. So for example, I used to label myself as very shy. I felt like I was a very shy child. This was confirmed by lots of other people growing up. And at some point, I kind of noticed that it wasn't true anymore, or that it wasn't quite fitting in the way that it did when I was a child. And somebody actually told me or referred to me as a people person, someone that I hadn't known for very long. And it really helped me to shake that label of being shy away, because maybe it was true in the past, but it wasn't serving me anymore. So I could actually just release that. And for me, that example is one that has served me extremely well since I let go of that label that I actually did create for myself in many ways. But for other things, we might be happy to accept it, even things that we're finding challenging. We can still accept those if we want to keep hold of them for now, if we feel like they're still serving us in some way. But the things that aren't serving us, we can feel free to release. And then the final stage of self-empathy, I believe, is prioritization. So this involves taking like consistent action, like again, in the present moment. I believe that self-empathy is really best practiced in every present moment. So thinking what you're aware of in that present moment, whether you want to accept it, you might want to release something in that moment, and then prioritizing whatever your need is in that moment. Sometimes that's going to be focusing on work, doing something that maybe you're not completely interested in or not completely committed to, but it's actually the most necessary thing for you to do at that time. That's fine. In other times, it might be taking a break, drinking some water, getting some food, taking a minute. It could be reaching out to friends. It could be anything that's taking care of what you feel is your most important need in that moment. And the prioritization, I think, also covers communicating your needs to others. So once we're aware and we've accepted ourselves, who we are, what we need, how we feel, we can much better communicate to other people and get them on board with helping us to fulfill some of those needs, because a lot of needs we can take care of completely by ourselves, but things like social needs, we need other people to fulfill those social needs, and they have a choice whether they want to help us or not. Each individual person can choose, yes, I want to help you, or no, I don't, but we do need some other people in some cases to help us fulfill our needs. Okay. So I'm going to move on now to how self-empathy helps us to connect with ourselves, because I feel like this is the first stage. And once we're really connecting with ourselves, then we can open a bit more space for connecting with other people. So when we're aware and accepting of ourselves, we're much more likely to take action. So once we really have that awareness, we really have that acceptance, we're so much more empowered to actually take action on our needs and put ourselves first. And like I said, we're also way more equipped to communicate our feelings, our needs with other people. But without self-empathy, I really don't feel like we can properly connect with ourselves. We might have an idea or a sense of some of the labels that we're telling ourselves belong to us. We might have a sense of the feelings that we feel, but without really practicing often that awareness and self-empathy, I feel like it's really actually challenging to connect with ourselves, to know who we truly are, to know what we truly need. Yeah. And then once we're really connected with ourselves, then I feel like the door really opens up for meaningful, healthy connections with other people. I believe that healthy, meaningful connections are created between people who are actively practicing self-empathy and who are taking responsibility for themselves. So ideally, you want to be creating connections with people who are also practicing self-empathy. That gives like the best possible foundation for a really meaningful and healthy connection, because then each person is coming to each interaction with the majority of their needs already met and a sense of what they might want or need from the other person, not demanding it because each person is responsible for their own needs, but they can communicate, both people, to each other if there's a way that they can each help each other to fulfill some of their needs, or to simply just, yeah, the need might be just a need for connection. It might be a simple need to just share time together, not necessarily doing anything for each other, maybe not even having a conversation, but there might be a space where two people just come together and they know that their need is just to be together. And this can all be figured out because each person is having a real deep awareness in each moment of what they want and need, and also how they feel. So I feel like by practicing self-empathy, we also get much clearer at our boundaries and communicating that with people. And again, when both people are doing that, or if a group of people who are all practicing self-empathy come together, there's much more space for authenticity to come as people are, and create real genuine connections where people aren't afraid to share what they want or need or what they feel. People are happy to share and they feel like the other people have the capacity also to listen if they have challenging things to share. It feels, for some people, for example, if you're kind of people pleasing tendencies, that's one blockage to healthy relationships, I feel, because there's things like resentment can build up on both sides, which I've had experience with. So when someone isn't sharing their needs with you, like in my experience, I would then take on the kind of mental work to guess their needs, which then created a blockage in a healthy connection. And if someone isn't sharing their own needs and then they're not getting their needs met by another person, it also creates like resentment. So each kind of party suffers when people aren't taking care and responsibility of their own needs.